So, we are back with a new video and we are talking about a Reddit post that I find very interesting to talk about because I do feel like there is a bit of controversy behind it. It is written by Sith Lord Milk, and I think it's a question that has been already popped up multiple times every season, by the way. Do you think you should be able to get Gladiator from Soul Shuffle? And when people think about Gladiator, they think about the mount. So it means that you also get a Glad mount with it. The title itself goes away every season. It's just the achievement that stays. But the seasonal title that you want to keep for Glad, you have to be 0.1%. So you have to be rank 1 in 3v3. So which is not like for everyone. And I understand that. And for myself as well, I don't feel like I want to push rank 1 titles anyways. But I think everyone wants the Glad mount. I think it's like prestigious. You can always show off your Glad mounts you had, and people instantly know from what season it is and from what expansion. My opinion is not really very controversial. I do feel like that because I think most people do think rewards are better whenever it's like obtainable via different sources. But I do feel like I can like give a bit more of a nuanced opinion. I don't think Glad mount should be in Soul Shuffle, but I do feel like there should be a Legend mount for Soul Shuffle, and not really a crappy mount like a saddle mount where you cannot even like dragon ride with it. I want a real mount, like a real Glad mount, but it is called Legend mount for Soul Shuffle. You could even put a healer mount every season. Like, I don't care. Just give a healer the possibility to get a cool mount that only healers can have by getting like 100 rounds won above 2.4k. And I think it could be like even lower in War Within. It could be like in 2.2 or 2.3 or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I do think they did talk about it. I do feel like they are discussing about it. I don't know if they're going to change it. But I do feel like still I want some prestige behind the mounts. But I do feel like you could also do a lot of stuff with it that is extra and that could not really take away the prestige of it, but at least give something to like nibble about, like have the taste of it to want to push towards the better rewards. Now, what I would suggest, and I think people would align with me, although I feel like people are thinking about Glad mount whenever I'm saying that, but I'm thinking really it should be separated mounts, and if it's too hard to have like different models, you can have recolors. It don't really matter, right? I think in 2v2 you should always have a possibility to have a Glad mount. I would call it something else, but it could be also a Glad mount, which is a recolor from the 3v3 one. I think the Legend mount should also be here. It would also be a recolor of said Soul Shuffle bracket. I do feel like for RBGs and for solo queue RBGs in War Within, it should always also have a recolor. Let me explain. In raids, you do have multiple tier sets. You have Raid Finder tier set, you have normal tier set, you have the heroic one, and you have the mythic one. We have two, which is the normal conquest gear and the elite set, which you get at 1800. I do feel like you could always add more. You could even have an elite set for 2s. You could have an elite set for 3s for Soul Shuffle and RBGs and solo queue RBGs. You could even like have it like together. It doesn't really matter if you don't want to have an extra recolor. I understand, but at least you can do something with that bracket. It would be cool and neat to have those things. And if you want to keep the prestige of a Glad mount from 3v3, you could always get a bit more sparkles from it. Like mythic raiding tier sets are a bit more I would say beautiful. I guess it depends on like subjectiveness, and again it's colors, and some people don't like purple, for example. I don't care, but you could easily add more like effects to it, or a neat thing, because it's dragon riding, right? You could like easily have an emote for glass, whatever. You can do a lot of stuff, but what I think what the players want is more rewards across the board. I think it should be nice to have 2v2 if you're like a 2v2 main and you only play 2v2 because that's the only bracket you love and to do and to play. You should be able to get a sword glad mount. It's not a glad mount, it's like a recolor glad mount, right? It's a 2v2 mount that you could also achieve if you're like excellent with it. It should be able to do the same for social. It should do the same for RBGs. It should be able to look, if your preferred playstyle is not 3v3, that's alright, you get something else. And if your preferred playstyle is to dominate across the board, so you have 2400 on everything, you would get all the mounts. But even better, if you have everything 2400, you could have another like big mount besides it, right? They could do so much more. Now, I don't know if they're ready to do that. I understand that their view is a bit narrowed on PvP. I do feel like 2v2 and 3v3 is not the same. I do feel like Raid Finder normal raid is also not the same. So I don't know why we keep on trying to give the same rewards, although 3v3 obviously has more rewards. It would be nice to have that. And whenever I'm saying like the mount, I understand that a lot of people are like not 2400, and that's again normal because it's part of the percentiles. Like if everyone can be 2400, what is the value of 2400, right? They could easily put a base mount, like a Lego mount. I already told it multiple times. I think multiple people have the same ideas because I think great minds do think alike. I do feel like if you put a mount at, I don't care, even 1500, I don't care. 1500, you get like the base glad mount. But I mean base, it has no effects, it has no armor. It's a bit like, again, it's not like as beautiful, right? And then every time you're getting like more CR, so if you get 1600, 1700, 1800, 1900, 2k, whatever, you always get like an extra piece that you could then put on your mount. And you could also take it away. Like again, customization is possible. We got it in Dragonflight. They could do that for Warcraft as well, where you can take an armor away, or you can put an armor big like extra because you did get a extra CR threshold. And then every time you're going to keep on climbing, you will get eventually 2400 with the glad mounts wins. And once you have the glad mount wins, you would have the full glad mount. It would not change anything for the pro players, for the rank ones, for the glad players that are usually glad every season, but that would end up pushing a lot of people wanting to push and wanting to continue to push and have the carrot on the stick at any time for the same stuff you already have right now for the glads. So for glad players and for rank ones, it doesn't change anything towards your mounts. Your mount is still prestigious. People still want to have that mount, right? But at least the lower players and the new players and the veterans that are not able to push harder because reasons, they would have a carrot on a stick for that little piece that they could maybe grind. If it's not 2400, at least they can maybe push to 2k to get like the special saddle, for example. And if they are able to push 2.1k, then you have like a special headpiece. And then whenever you're 2400, you would get like a brighter color, like an aura. And then whenever you are like glad mount, like your glad wins have been achieved, you would have like some sort of aura where you have like some electricity or something besides the drake. So again, you have, or the glad mount in general, because it's not always a drake, right? I think in War Within it will not be a drake, it will be like a mount from shadowlands, kinda like the style. But I feel like they could do so much more, and I think that itself could put players into a mindset of, I would like to push even more. I want to be able to achieve that little bit extra to get like a extra piece on my like glad mount. And again, I tell you, glad mount, again, if it's a social, it would be legend mount. If it would be 2v2, I don't care. For now, placeholder a 2v2 mount. If it's an RBG mount, it's an RBG mount, and they have the same concept. And what they could do for tier sets is basically every bracket has their own colors, so you could easily have players wanting to collect every single color. Or if people are like 2v2 maniacs, and they only play that, at least they have something outside of the realm of I have the same color as everyone. At least they know, look, this is a 2v2 color, and it's a cool one. So they could do easily something like that. And I do feel like it's very weird to be against that idea of like a Lego mount, because it would not change anything towards the rank ones and the glads. It would basically do nothing to them and to many people that are glads. But for the people that are not able to get glads or rank 1 or whatever title they are going to chase every season but not achieve, at least they have like the little carrot to keep them pushing onto a new CR threshold. And that would also help for the MMR problems, because again, MMR is something complex but also not. You should always regard MMR as a pool of players, and you have specific brackets that has specific percentiles. And if everyone is like top tier, then no one is. But if everyone is bottom tier, then no one is truly bottom tier. But if it's really spread out, at least they have like some nuance to, you are bottom tier, I'm middle tier, you are high tier, you are the highest tier. At least you have like some nuance between the brackets, and I think that should be kept, because I don't think everyone should be able to get 2400, because then the MMR system doesn't work, or they were going to push the brackets to a higher level. So 2400 is the new 1500, and that I think nobody really wants. It is the same as inflation, to be honest. But it would be nice to have that. Now I want to read a few comments, but again, most people are like okay for that, because they don't want to spend the energy in 3v3 in the LFG community, which I understand. There are also people like kind of bashing the glads itself. Give Legend a glad mount recolor, which is something I suggest as well. You have here someone that bashes glads. Basically, you only have 20 people who still get glad every season, and they would lose their mind. I think they should rework the whole reward system from the ground up instead, which is what I said. I think you could have both. I think there is a world where it's both. I don't think that every reward should be the best in 3v3. I think it should be the best in any brackets, but it should be different. Everything should be different. And you can record 3v3 as a mythic plus, like a mythic tier, but the other brackets should also be regarded as important. And I think it should be important, because again, a lot of people are only playing 2s, and I understand, because 2s is a very popular bracket, especially in Cataclysm, especially in Wrath of the Lich King. I do feel like in Dragonflight, what it actually lacks is the possibility for the people from 2v2 to feel good about their choice to play 2v2. Same for Soul Shuffle, same for RBGs. And I think a lot of people are like saying, yes, they do want it. But the lower you go, of course, the more people are going to say nope, or they're going to say no for some reason, without really arguing or giving arguments against it. But overall, what do you guys think? I think I'm not saying like something crazy, right? I think I already said it multiple times that I do want recolors, I do want a Lego system to mount, I do want tier sets to be overall every bracket not the same. I do want like a big upper mount-ish mount behind all the brackets, where if you are all brackets 2-400, you could then have the best mount possible. That would be also very neat. But again, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I wanted to make this video because I think a conversation with you guys would be interesting, and hopefully we do get a conversation in the comment section below. Again, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.